Welcome to ViewPoint. I'm Pat Lawson-Muse. Obesity is a national epidemic. We know that. The state of Maryland has the 29th highest adult obesity rate in the nation. In Prince George's County, nearly 70% of adults are obese or overweight. Our guests this morning have teamed up to trim our waistlines and improve our health. They are Dr. Patricia Davidson, who's a cardiologist at MedStar Washington Hospital Center. Dr. Gertie Hurley is founder and executive director of the group TEA. That's Taking Effective Action, Inc. And Dr. Michael Hall is senior pastor at New Beginnings Community Church in Bowie, Maryland. Welcome, all of you. And good Sunday morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Dr. Hurley, you're about to kick off what you're calling the Battle of the Bulge Challenge. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, we thought that would be a good way, action like your boxing, to get people in the sort of an upbeat mood to do something different in terms of changing their behavior patterns for their health.
And Dr. Hall,
Yes.
it kicks off in your pulpit 2 weeks from today.
Yes, on Sunday, February 15th. We're looking forward to getting underway. Yes.
What do you have planned?
Well, what we have planned, we have Dr. Hurley who's going to kick it off, and we also have a fitness trainer who's coming, who's going to lead the church in during the worship service in exercises right from the pews. And of course, we have Dr. Davidson who's going to come and speak.
Now, wait a minute. You're going to stop the sermon and your members are going to get up and start exercising in the middle of church.
Well, it's going to be actually not quite that way.
Okay.
It's going to actually take place prior to the sermon. We're going to have some light exercises and things you can do standing up. Not a lot of vigorous exercises, but exercises you can easily do right from your pews. And it's going to be led by a fitness trainer. And then we're going to have Dr. Davidson speak. And then I'm going to do a sermon directly related to the Battle of the Bulge.
And before we get to Dr. Davidson, Dr. Hurley, I understand there'll also be a weekday component.
Yeah.
Yes, beginning February the 24th, every Tuesday from 6:30 to 8:15. We're going to have classes for 6 months. It's a 6-month commitment for the Battle of the Bulge. I think the time is 6:45 to 8:15. We're going to have it's a series, going through a series of things. It's starting with the head, the eyes for those who see. You see the food, then you smell it, then it goes through your mouth. We're just going to go through the whole thing. We're going to go through the spiritual aspect of what's happening, how you're formed, and that you're special. Because a lot of people have problems with their diet because they think they're not worthy. They're just not worthy. They're not good enough. So then they use food as a comforter.
You're going to talk about the relationship we have with food.
Yes.
Which gets me to Dr. Davidson. You will deliver a short message at that service about your cardiovascular system.
That's correct. Everything that is chronic in these chronic diseases in this country are related to our lifestyle, and we can turn all of that back. And heart disease is the most preventable of all diseases, and people have to recognize that clogging your arteries comes from the way you have chosen or the way your parents have chosen first for you to live a lifestyle that you end up following later on. So that's our message. And people who are spiritual have a tendency to, hopefully have a tendency with help, with support groups and with their pastor and their prayer partners, will hopefully be able to have the discipline. So they will now pray for discipline and not pray just for world peace, but they also have to pray for the discipline to change their lifestyle and prevent disease.
So do you think taking a spiritual approach is more effective or can be more effective and make a stronger impact than all of the health warnings and all of the public education campaigns that have been waged?
Well, it's more an issue of support groups, because we've documented that in the literature that if you have a support group, and a church is a natural support group. So that the problem is that we don't have any way to pay for support groups, so that's why our insurance companies don't pay for it. So we're going to use the churches, which are a natural support group. You already have a prayer partner. Your prayer partner has to be your Battle of the Bulge partner. That has to be the person that you talk to when you're about to turn into one of those fast food restaurants. That's when you call your prayer partner and ask them to help pray you onto the health food store instead, or home to preferably cook your own food. So we're going to make sure that the prayer partner plays that role now and moves them on. So we're going to be praying with a purpose.
All right.
For discipline.
It sounds like a pretty effective strategy. We're going to talk more about the Battle of the Bulge Challenge when we come back. Stay with us. talking about the Battle of the Bulge Challenge being issued to churches all over, not just in Maryland, Dr. Hall. But
yes.
Tell us how you've dealt with the issue of obesity among your congregation in the past.
Okay, yes. Over the years, as God has given me a vision that New Beginning should be a church where faith and fitness converge for the glory of God. We've had exercise classes, we've had various types of instruction, and a number of those things didn't have any lasting outcome. And so when I met Dr. Hurley, I realized that this commitment that we have to not only be the church being a place for spiritual support and guidance, that we needed something more substantive, something that had more measurable results and greater accountability. So we decided to get involved.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Hurley, when you're talking about the African American church, you've got culture there, which impacts our eating habits, childhood memories, and lifestyle. Talk about the challenges of tackling the issue in the African American church, and is it any different with any other group?
Well, church people, there's the issue of church food. There are a lot of activities that are surrounded by food. And no one wants to do anything healthy because they don't want their reputation as a good cook to be affected by healthy food, because someone has put out a rumor that healthy food doesn't taste good. But when healthy food is prepared properly, it's delicious. Delicious. And so that's been one of the issues. You put out the little information, we're not going to have this and we're going to have this, and they'll say they forgot it and have the white rice out, which Dr. Davidson says no, not to eat the white rice. So they'll have all the macaroni and cheese, white rice, everything all the same, just ham, turkey, everything, fried chicken, fried fish, everything. You have a buffet full of food, and then there's no encouragement not to do that because they figure that people won't come out and eat.
Dr. Davidson, talk about that. There's a lot of psychology there.
I think the African American community probably has culturally some of the most unhealthy food. And that comes from the fact that we were given the scraps as slaves and we turned them into delicacies. And so that whole concept has gone on for decades, or centuries actually. So we just need to begin to turn that around. And we have enough chefs, and even the chef shows, you see, they're not even doing healthy foods. And chefs are capable of teaching us how to cook in a way that is very tasty but healthier. And you only see a chef here and there that will end up doing that, but even the chefs show some of the most unhealthy food. So we just have to show people, and we will be having cooking classes. We will be showing people how to make some foods that they haven't tasted before that are much healthier than what they are. And we just need to recognize that some foods cause disease, and if a food is going to cause you to have a disease and kill you, you have to make a decision as to whether it's worth eating. So you have to make a decision between your life and what you put in your mouth, because everything you put in your mouth, if you consider it a temple, should be something that keeps you alive.
The nonprofit group Trust for America recently published a report that shows Maryland's adult obesity rate is just over 28% now, up from 21.5% in the past decade. Why has Maryland's obesity rate, in your opinion, been so stubborn?
Well, I think in many states the obesity rate is rising, and a lot of that may have to do with the new immigrant population and the African American population, both of which have rates of obesity that are over 60%. Which are higher than the national average. So if you have a population that's growing that is higher than the national average, and that's part of that has to also do with the poverty rate too, which involves the white population. So if you see that over 50% of our children in public schools have to have subsidized meals, then that means our poverty rate is growing, and then poor people cannot eat healthy foods. There's nothing wrong with a $1.99 full meal as far as they're concerned, because they need to eat and they need to feed their family. So they will be eating the most unhealthy food, and they don't have access to the healthier food either, because they end up going to the nearest grocery store, which also doesn't carry healthy things. Most of the food, the fruit and the vegetables in those stores will be more expensive and not even be good quality. So we talk about the food deserts, and with places like Prince George's County having most of the restaurants, fast food restaurants, over 70%, then you can see why people end up choosing those kinds of food, because they taste good. And also food is addicting. So the food industry has learned to make the most unhealthy food, the most addictive, because that's the food that is the cheapest to make. And then if you don't have much income, you end up buying that particular food in order to feed your family. Your concern is survival at that point. So as our poverty rate goes up and the rate of people having problems just obtaining food and the food banks being stretched to the maximum, you're going to see people just eating whatever they can eat in order to feel less hungry.
Right, we've got to take a break, but we'll continue right after this. Welcome back. Dr. Hurley, the Battle of the Bulge is designed to reach boys and girls 14 and older, really the families.
The families. Everyone, but if just one member of the family comes, they can help with the other members.
Your group has worked with and promoted wellness programs through the years.
Yes, we have.
Tell us about some of those.
Some of them have even been sunrise wellness program at 6 o'clock a.m. before people, 1.5 hours before they go to work, with them getting a carry-out breakfast, healthy breakfast. And we've done one-on-one, and we've done groups. We've done support groups in churches. We've done the annual conferences, 2 annual conferences. So we've just done everything we can to do a newsletter. We've done everything we can. But it's something that you have to just keep doing. Like you have to just keep going to church, keep hearing the message. The message is the same, basically. So that's what it is. The message is still the same. People know the message, but they need to hear it.
Dr. Hall, I just want to touch on something that was alluded to earlier about, Dr. Davidson said, call your prayer partner when you turn into a fast food restaurant. And in Prince George's County, for example, where 60% of deaths are related to chronic illness, such as cardiovascular disease. You live in Prince George's County. Choices. I mean, do you live in a neighborhood where you have access, where you go out of your way, you're inclined to go out of your way to get healthy food? And what do your members do about that?
Okay, well, the choices sometimes are difficult for the reasons that Dr. Davis has already mentioned and some of the things Dr. Hurley has alluded to. But there are better choices, but it comes down to retraining our taste buds, retraining our bad habits, and our relationship with food. So when I go out, I try to make those healthy choices, but they're difficult to find, but they're there. And so there has to be a desire to do better.
Do you preach about the fact that you can stand in a prayer line and ask God to heal you?
Yes.
But if you can change one, of your bad habits,
yes,
then perhaps you're helping God.
Yes, because we believe that we have a responsibility, a personal responsibility. In other words, for God does His part, but He needs us to do our part, and that takes cooperating with God. And that means we have to get to a point of understanding what our role is and the choices that we make, and commit ourselves to the renewing of our minds. And that's what we're going to try to do through this Battle of the Bulge. We're going to begin with renewing minds as it relates to relationships with food, what's good for you, what's not good for you, what you love, but's not in love with you, and all those kinds of things.
Dr. Davidson, what would you say are the 3 most critical things that we all need to know, whether they're African American, whether they live in Prince George's County or in Alaska? The 3 most important things that we all need to know about cardiovascular disease.
The most important thing that you can do to save your life is walking, or any type of activity, but walking is the simplest and the cheapest. 30 minutes a day is a 50% reduction in heart attack, stroke, and cancer.
Just walking. You don't have to pump iron, you don't have to get on a bicycle.
Or whatever you choose to do, but 30 minutes a day of aerobic activity is a 50% reduction in heart attack, stroke, and cancer. You need to know your numbers. This is Heart Month coming up. So you need to know what your blood pressure is, what your sugar is, what your glucose level is, all of your cholesterol components, the good cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, and the triglyceride, to know if you are at goal. You ideally want your bad cholesterol to be under 100. You want your good cholesterol to be over 50, and your triglycerides to be under 150. And everybody should have those numbers, and this is going to be part of this group. You need to make sure that your sugar is under 99 on the fasting level, and you need to get your body mass index under 25. And if it's over 25, you're going to die from your weight. and you have to decide whether whatever you're doing is worth your life. And that is the choice. And you have to begin to say, my life is worth it. And so if you know your numbers and you begin to just do the simplest, cheapest thing, which is walk, then you will be preventing most of the diseases that we die from.
All right, so how about an easier question maybe for you? Which is, what would you say are the 3 easiest unhealthy habits to break and make it really easy?
The easiest unhealthy habits? I don't know, there is an easy one. I think the easiest one is not to exercise. So everybody can get up and walk or do chair exercises.
Whether you've got problems with your knees.
Well, if you have problems with your knees, you can do chair exercises. And our fitness person has wonderful DVDs on how to do chair exercise. And that's what he'll be doing that Sunday, because everybody will be sitting down.
In the pews.
And you can do a very vigorous aerobic workup in a chair. And so you can do that even if your knees are in bad shape. And the loss of the weight will end up giving significant relief to your knees as well.
Okay.
And every pound you lose is worth 2 millimeters of mercury on your blood pressure. So if you have a mildly elevated blood pressure and you lose 5 pounds, that's 10 millimeters drop. So if you say you're 140 and you drop 5 pounds, you'll be 130.
All right, so I said 3 unhealthy habits. One is not exercising. What are the other 2 quickly?
Smoking is probably one of the most difficult to do. And then one of the easier things to do is to pick your foods better. So you go into the store, we are in the South, so all our food is fresh year-round, the same food. Pick the green vegetables. Green has the lowest amount of sugar, and try to stay away from white food, because white food has the highest amount of sugar. That's your white pasta, your white bread, your white rice. If it's white, you probably don't want to eat it, and cauliflower is beige, so that doesn't count. So you want to have green food, and you want to make sure that the protein that you pick is either no cholesterol or very low cholesterol. So that's your animals that fly and your animals that swim without the skin, because they're the simplest animals and they have the lowest amount of cholesterol because they are so simple, so they have less cells.
All right.
The animals that walk on land and walk on the bottom of the ocean are highest in cholesterol.
All right, let's take a break. You just heard it from the doctor. Got that? We'll be right back. Talking about the Battle of the Bulge Challenge, which Dr. Hurley again begins on Sunday, February 15th, 10 a.m. at New Beginnings Community Church in Bowie, Maryland. And you're going to be giving people some printed information as well as the book.
This book, 7 Easy Steps to Improve, 7 Easy Steps to Improve Your Health. Everyone is getting a copy, at least the first 100 copies of this book for coming to the kickoff.
And your goal is to get churches all over
As
the
many
county and all
churches
over
as
the
we
state
can.
involved.
Really.
How do they get involved, Dr. Hall?
Well, they can contact us at New Beginnings Community Church in Bowie, Maryland. We're at 16508 Old Central Avenue. And our office phone number is 301-249-0177. And they also can go on our website, as well as on the website of Dr. Hurley, taking effective action.
You're using your pulpit to kick this off,
Yes.
and you're setting the example yourself. You're a fit, healthy pastor.
Thank you.
Talk about your responsibility to promote healthy living as well as spiritual life.
Yes, I think that we have a responsibility as churches and pastors in particular to understand that we play a significant leadership role. In other words, when the leaders lead and the people willingly offer themselves, that's when we best honor God. And so therefore, I believe that we need to be that kind of example. And for 7 years, I worked out with a personal trainer. And then after that relationship ended, I actually started doing it myself because I learned so much from him that I was able to start doing it on my own. And then I found out that I could also sustain a healthy eating lifestyle or food, make better choices with food. And that's what I've been incorporating. But I always still feel that I have improvement opportunities. But I think we need to be the example from the pulpit.
Dr. Davidson?
Know your numbers. Begin to realize that the fork is the deadliest weapon in America, so use it for self-defense and not self-destruction.
And when you stand before a congregation as a physician, and a very successful physician at that, you actually appeal to their spirits, and you tell them whether they're fit or not to fight in the Army.
Well, I will tell them that we have to be fit to fight in the U.S. Army so we can kill people, but people don't feel they should be fit in God's Army to save people.
And what's their response generally?
A lot of O's.
A lot of
Open mouths.
We hadn't thought about that. All right. Well, again, the Battle of the Bulge Challenge open to all churches.
Yes.
Again, starting February 15th at 10 o'clock. And we know that this is going to reach a lot of people.
Yes.
And hopefully change a lot of unhealthy habits and make a big difference in their lives.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Patricia Davidson, Dr. Michael Hall, and Dr. Gertie Hurley. The program is the Battle of the Bulge Challenge.
Yes.
And we want everybody to take it.
Right, and Close the Gap. Boston Scientific is one of our funders, and we're so happy that they join us in this.
All right. Thank you all so much. And thank you for being with us. That's ViewPoint. I'm Pat Lawson Muse. Stay with us. News for Today continues.